operation started here. Unfortunately, it was a very violent weekend. A call was made to the 911 emergency line about an apparent case of domestic violence in a condominium located in the canton of Moura, Brazil. The officers of the Operational Support Group, GAO, entered the home and proceeded to help a female who was inside and arrested a male who apparently is from Jamaica. Inside the home, the agents found different types of guns, such as a carbine, a revolver, and a pistol. They also found 2 bulletproof vests, 203 ammunitions of different calibers, and 6 magazines. The detainee with the last name Tedri was referred to the prosecutor's office, where he will face charges of domestic violence and the illegal carrying of weapons. After a multiple joint operation between the public force, the Special Intervention Unit of the Ministry of the Presidency, and the Judicial Investigation Organization, they were able to capture the individual with the last name of Blanco. He presumably is one of the hitmen in the criminal gang called El Diablo, which operates in the Caribbean area. He was taken into custody in Siquirres, Limon, and was carrying 2 pistols, some sort of firearm, and 2 grenades hidden inside his backpack. The public force confiscated several firearms inside a bar in the district of Pavas in San Jose. Upon entering the establishment, the police officers proceeded to identify and search those who were there. However, they did not find anything until they checked the bar area, and that's where they located the firearms. In this year alone, the public force has seized a total of 1,512 firearms throughout the national territory. And a man tried to enter the prison, Gerardo Rodriguez, with a false identity. The individual presented an ID with the last name of Umaña Suarez. However, he is actually Maltese Martinez. Because of this situation, he was checked by the canine unit, and they indicated that he was carrying illicit objects or substances. The X-rays determined that he was carrying marijuana and cocaine that weighed 260.40 grams, for which he will now serve 2 months in preventive prison. According to the unofficial version, 2 individuals were on a motorcycle and began shooting another man several times while he was walking on the street in Barranca Punta Arenas. Right now, the reason for the attack is unknown. However, when the Red Cross arrived at the scene, the man was already deceased. This case remains under investigation by the Judicial Investigation Organism. A man had to be transferred in delicate condition to the San Juan de Dios hospital after being hit by a car this past Sunday night in Mora de San Jose. At the moment, it is unknown what caused the accident. However, when the Red Cross arrived at the scene, they found a man who was severely injured. 5 people with the last names of Herrera, Duran, Quiroz, Cascante, and Ramirez accumulate 105 years in prison for committing premeditated murder in the case of a man with the last name of Quesada. According to the authorities, the men were dedicated to granting loans using the drop-by-drop system. Quesada, who worked as a driver on a mobile platform, had acquired a loan with these men, and because he was behind of his payments, they decided to end his life. After a shooting that occurred at the Coronado bus station, 1 person is dead. According to the Red Cross, the man showed no vital signs at all. Therefore, he was declared deceased at the scene. For their part, the Judicial Investigation Organism agents transferred the body to the morgue to perform an autopsy. The Judicial Investigation Agency is investigating the case. Officers of the public force arrested 2 individuals of Jamaican descent. They were identified with the last names of Everton and Akine. The police had to chase them for several minutes as they were traveling in a suspicious vehicle. They finally caught up to them and put them under arrest. One of them was wearing a bulletproof vest and had an illegal firearm with a magazine that is prohibited in our country. And the other guy was wearing a bulletproof vest as well and had a total of 100 of 46 ammunitions and a machete. Border police officers rescued and confiscated a juvenile age white-tailed deer in Peñas Blancas in the canton of La Cruz in Guanacaste. According to the authorities, the deer was in a precarious situation because it was locked in a small cage on the patio of a house. Because of this situation, the officials confiscated and placed the animal in the custody of the Sinac Park Rangers so they could transfer the animal to an animal shelter to begin the process of reinserting the deer back into its natural habitat. Let us remember that the white-tailed deer was declared a national symbol of fauna in our country. The immigration officers deported a total of 42 foreigners, of which 20 were gold miners in the Crucita sector. 3 of the people who were deported served prison time for the possession of drugs, drug trafficking, and for bringing instead drugs inside the prison. According to the law, those who are deported may not re-enter Costa Rica for a term of 10 years and from the date of departure from the country. Around 30 incidents were reported over this weekend due to the heavy rains. Several houses were flooded and even overflooded in the areas of Santa Cruz, Corredores, Parrita, Monte de Oro, Orotina, and in Nandayure as well. However, in the areas of Golfito, Garavito, Esparza, and Inquepos, the greatest affectations were reported. For now, the emergency committees are actively making assessments. And take a look at these images. Strong waves in Caldera caused road closures, flooded homes, and concerned business owners. These waves have damaged the inside of many homes and made it dangerous for drivers to pass in this area. The magnitude of this situation is evident. The business owners are extremely concerned since the waves damaged their oceanfront businesses and made it impossible to have customers. Because of this situation, the residents of this area are calling attention to the authorities to strengthen the bulkheads or even place more to try to prevent these types of emergencies. And due to this situation, the Red Cross had to evacuate more than 18 families in Caldera due to the high waves that occurred over the weekend. The families were transferred to shelters in the Tivive sector. The authorities remind the public to the following: be attentive to the unexpected water surges that may occur from the ocean, rivers, or streams. That they are working with the local emergency committees to define safe evacuation routes and meeting points in the event of an emergency. Remember to stay away from the areas where a landslide could occur and do not cross rivers or streams during the emergency, as they can carry you away and cause serious injuries or even death. Stay away from power lines that are down, especially in flooded areas. Because of the situation in Caldera, the traffic police and the authorities of CONAVI, as well as the Ministry of Public Works and Transportation, remain in the area to oversee the respective road cleaning. And it is getting to start raining here in Liberia, so if you get some background noise, it is because of the rain. So it's a good moment to provide you with the weather information. The week begins with the intertropical convergence zone over Costa Rica, which together with the moisture increase of both maritime sector caused moderate to heavy rainfall accompanied by electrical storms. During the morning, we had partly cloud skies with mugginess conditions in the national territory. During the afternoon, we had downpours with an electrical storm in places near the mountain ranges, including the metropolitan area on the Pacific coast and plains in both the North Zone and the Caribbean. The rain continues throughout the night in most parts of the country. We continue with a high influence of the intertropical convergence zone on the country since it is over the national territory and as a consequence increases atmospheric instability as well as rainfall. After a very hot and muggy morning across almost the entire country, showers with a thunderstorm are projected this afternoon in the mountainous areas of the Central Valley, the Pacific, the Northern area, and the Caribbean. Part of these rains will extend only in the night hours, mainly in Guanacaste and Punta Arenas. The National Institute of Learning announced the new financial aid package they can now offer. This is exclusively for the women studying in their institutions in the fields of life science, manufacturing, information technologies, and telecommunications, and or those studying to be an electrician. The objective of this is to simulate and increase the participation of women in the intensive employment training program that has a high occupational demand. Within the requirements to apply for this aid, you must be a female and be enrolled in one of their training courses, regardless of your socio-economic status. This financial aid will cover the student's presentation in activities within and outside the country, such as for internship and other exclusive activities that a company would like a student to participate in for further development. The Bank of Costa Rica and the National Chamber of Tourism signed an agreement to promote the small businesses instead in our country. They signed an alliance to facilitate aid to small businesses in the tourism sector so they can have access to the financing program to be able to consolidate or grow their business. They are also seeking to accelerate the time period it takes to process the applications. Those who may opt for this financial aid are individuals and legal representatives from micro or small hotels and hotel restaurants and tour operators. The agreement is initially signed for 1 year with the possibility of automatically ending it for an equal period upon evaluation by both parties. This Sunday, September the 3rd, the statue of Our Lady de Los Ángeles returned to La Basilica after a month of being in the cathedral Nuestra Señora del Carmen in Cartago. At 9 a.m. a mass was held, and approximately 10:30 the procession began with a large number of faithful followers. Every year the streets are decorated, and this religious activity calls on the Cartagineses and people from all over the country. Children's Day is quickly approaching, and the Ministry of Economy, Industry and Commerce gives advice for parents and guardians on how to purchase safe toys for your little ones. Most parents buy gifts to celebrate this day, so the Ministry of Economy, Industry and Commerce shares some tips to make informed and safe purchases. This is what they recommend. Plan your shopping so you can compare options and prices and know the skills you want to provide your child. Confirm that the toy has not been recalled. Buy on trusted websites, depending on the age. Inspect the toy and make sure there are no small parts that can detach off, especially for infants or children under the age of 3. If you want more information or ideas on purchasing the right kind of toy for your child, you can visit the Ministry of Economy, Industry and Commerce website. From new school buildings to health campaign for breastfeeding, we inform you with the National News Summary.
At the end of August, the Red Cross transferred 6,308 people in delicate condition and 1,127 without vital signs. This is also the month that had more transfers due to poisoning. The book Our Rulers During the Bicentennial 1821 to 2021, written by the former First Lady, Gloria Bejarano, was presented during the Costa Rica 2023 International Book Fair. This book has playful activities for children, as they learn about the historical events during the 200 years of Costa Rica's independence. Those affiliated with the Bagaces Health facility are able to go in person, make an appointment and receive care the same day. This goes for both doctor and dental appointments starting Monday, September 4th until September 9th. Last Friday we celebrated the 80th anniversary of the Labor Code of Costa Rica, to pay homage to the social guarantees and to the memory of the founders of modern Costa Rica. The Health Department appointed interim medical manager Dr. Wilberg Diaz Cruz, who was sworn in last Thursday by the Board of Directors. The strengthening of services and the adequate management of waiting lists will be their top priorities. So far this year, more than 40,000 people who needed some sort of therapy and 9,000 people for consultations were able to avoid being transferred from Limon to San Jose. In total, 7,003 people for occupational therapy, 33,200 people for physical therapy and nearly 400 people for minor surgeries were treated in the province of Limon. Starting September 1st, the National Insurance Institute will now notify employers about the disability for their employee who was hurt on the job. Through email, they will provide the information and give the time frame that the employee needs beyond disability. And a lantern contest using recyclable materials for both elementary and high school students from public and private educational centers started on September 1st and ends on the 29th. The health department increases the breastfeeding consultations in 36 health facilities located in different parts of the national territory. The institution seeks to standardize these types of consultations to encourage and promote breastfeeding as the right of every child and its mother from the moment of birth. Students from the 27 de Abril Technical High School are taking in consideration with the objective of favoring the development of scientific and engineering vocations in 12th grade students. The Minister of Education, Ana Catarina Moller, and the Vice Minister of Administration, Sofia Ramirez, visited the Liceo de Pacara during their tour of the province of Limon. The minister spoke with the young people and motivated them to forge their life plans to be responsible and caring citizens. And the La Guaria School in Picosay, which held classes in the local community center, now has a new face, because the new buildings were inaugurated. A total of 486 million colones was invested into this project. From January to July of this year, there were 69 deaths due to the risky behavior on the road of invading the opposite lane. We still need to add the deaths from August. The Secretary General of the United Nations on Trade and Development, Rebecca Grinspanken, spoke with the Minister of the Economy and Commerce on issues relating to the defense of consumer rights and the promotion of entrepreneurs. The Ministry of Technology continues working to generate discussions that contribute to the digital development of our government while they receive technical assistance from the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean. And in Nandayur, Guanacaste, there will be a lecture on the situation of the crazy ant in the agricultural crops in the Coritega region on Wednesday, September 20th, from 2 to 4 p.m. at the headquarters of the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock in Nandayur.
And World Sexual Health Day is observed today on September the 4th. The purpose of this event is to raise awareness among the population about the promotion of sexual rights, sexual diversity, as well as sexual and reproductive health in a pleasant way, without discrimination or risk. Likewise, it is about disseminating information about risk factors, sexual transmitted diseases, and infections, as well as the pertinent precautions for a healthy sexual life. The World Health Organization defines sexual health as a state of physical, mental, and social well-being in relation to sexuality. It requires a positive and respectful approach to sexuality and sexual relationships, as well as the possibility of have pleasurable and safe sexual experiences, free from all coercion, discrimination, and violence. Sexuality encompasses aspects such as sex, gender identity, eroticism, pleasure, reproduction, and intimacy. It is expressed in thoughts, values, beliefs, desires, attitudes, roles, and practices, internationally created in 1978, that brings together non-governmental organizations, scientific and professional societies in the area of human sexuality, whose main objective is to promote sexual rights based on universal human rights for adequate sexual health. Promote sexual health through campaigns, events, and educational activities in different regions of the world. Here we mention the sexual rights completed in human rights. The right to equality and non-discrimination, the right to life, liberty, and security of people, the right to autonomy and integrity of the body, the right to a life free of torture, cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment, the right to a life free from all forms of violence and coercion, the right to privacy, the right to the highest attainable standards of health, including sexual health that encompasses pleasurable, satisfying, and safe sexual experiences, the right to enjoy scientific advances and the benefits that result from them, the right to information, the right to education, and the right to comprehensive sexuality education, the right to contract, form or dissolve marriage and other similar forms or relationships based on equality and full and free consent. The right to decide to have children, the number and spacing of them, and to have access to the information and means to achieve it. The right to freedom of thought, opinion, and expression, the right to free association and peaceful assembly, the right to participate in public and political life, the right to access to justice and retribution and compensation.
A different and fun podcast. From Monday to Friday at 3 p.m. and replay at 8 p.m. Political interviews, current affairs, sports, and conversation among friends. My program. Only here in Trivision Channel 36. As a part of our commitment to inform people of Costa Rica in the best way possible, in Trivision Channel 36, we have the guarantee seal of the Association of Journalists and Communication Professionals. We continue to carry ethical and objective information throughout Trivision Channel 36 from Guanacaste to all of Costa Rica.
Thank you for continuing watching 36 News. We're going to move now to the international field. Burning Man, the annual week-long festival in Nevada, closed its entrance on Saturday due to the flooding from the recent storms. Some of the thousands of festival goers are being warned to shelter in place.
I'm made in China.
Miao He is from Shehong, China. Following this year's Burning Man theme, Animalia, that celebrates the animal world, she brings to the playa an 8-meter-tall metal sculpture of a bunny.
You can see this rabbit. The idea of the creation comes from Chinese lunar year of the rabbit, from Chinese history. It has been passed down for thousands of years, that every 12 years is a repeat. This year happens to be rabbit, and animals are the Burning Man's theme this year. I think rabbit can represent warmth and love.
Artist Ma Jin shipped this interactive installation in the shape of a giant jellyfish all the way from Shanghai, China. The artwork reads 2 Chinese characters, not yet and coming. Ma Jin says it expresses his concerns for the future of the planet and the environment.
Jellyfish is a very simple animal, but it needs water will be very clean. It can be live. So if we have a very nice future, we need protect our water.
Nikki Xiong, an immigrant from China now living in San Francisco, created this piece called My Heart Will Go On, inspired by the Titanic theme song of the same name to honor the resilience of people's kindness in tough times like the pandemic, and to fight the stereotypes that she says Chinese people are often subjected to.
Because of the news, there are some impression formed about China and Chinese people, and I think it's important to use art as a tool to express and let them know who we are and what we care about and what we're passionate about, and we are just connecting as a human, on the level of just everybody regardless of nationality and race.
Qiao Xiaodao from Yunnan province in China brought an 8-armed Noja, a figure from ancient Chinese mythology with 3 heads and 8 arms playing with fire.
What I want with this piece of artwork, 8-armed Nuja, is to express the kind of freedom that Chinese rock and roll has. I feel that Nuja is very rock and roll. Rock and roll is kind of a spirit, but at its inner core, it's all about one word: freedom.
Since Friday's torrential rains and flooding prompted organizers to close access to Burning Man, it's unclear what will happen to many of the installations that were supposed to be ignited this weekend, including the famous sculpture of Burning Man. Right now, participants stranded by the flooding are waiting for it to end, so they can go home. Jenny Adulo, VOA News, Black Rock City.
Currently, the odds seem high for an election rematch between incumbent U.S. President Joe Biden and his predecessor Donald Trump. However, some politicians are leaving the door open to entering the race.
He now has a mugshot and an inmate number in the latest of several legal probes he faces. But former President Donald Trump is adamant he didn't do anything wrong. And several polls show that as of now, he isn't losing any supporters. In fact, many of his contenders for the 2024 presidential Republican nomination have said they'd back him if he were to win it. One of them is Vivek Ramaswamy, who told ABC's This Week that he supports Trump even as he disagrees with some of the choices the latter made while in office.
I think that many of these prosecutions against Donald Trump are downright politicized persecutions through prosecution that set an awful precedent for our country. I do not want to see us become a banana republic where the administrative police state uses police force to eliminate opponents from competition.
Support pledges for Trump made by his Republican presidential contenders were strongly criticized by Democratic Senator Tim Kaine, who was also interviewed on ABC.
If you are unwilling to say that the behavior of Donald Trump trying to overturn the peaceful transfer of power is a disqualifier, if you pledge despite that to vote for him, if you pledge despite that to pardon him should you be elected.
As election season gets underway in the United States, New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu, who appeared on NBC's Meet the Press, shared some words of advice for fellow Republicans who, like him, reject the Trump brand and worry about some political gains that Democrats are already making at the local level in some states, including New Hampshire.
You don't make things personal. You do things that are clearly in the best interest of the constituents you serve, regardless of party. Now, I'm a staunch fiscal conservative, and I want to support Republican ideals, but that doesn't mean we're going to bend and break rules.
Even as the current spotlight is on a possible presidential election rematch between Trump and the incumbent president, Joe Biden, a third-party run could alter the race. Maryland's former Republican governor, Larry Hogan, was asked about his political ambitions during his appearance on CBS's Face the Nation.
I have not closed the door to that. If I believe that we can actually win the race, we have a strong ticket, that those two major candidates are weak, we might have to try to pull off something that's never been done.
Analysts point out that the general election is still more than a year away, and that other factors besides Trump's legal woes and Biden's age could sway the American votes. Verónica Valderas Iglesias, VOA News, Washington.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he is seeking strong steps, including deportation, after street protests turned violent in Tel Aviv. The rival Eritrean party fueled a riot over their homeland's politics, with scores of injuries and damage to property.
Clashes turned violent in the streets of Tel Aviv this weekend as hundreds of Eritrean government supporters and opponents hurled rocks at Israeli police officers and smashed business windows. Dozens suffered injuries, including law enforcement, with at least 3 protesters hit by police gunfire. The day marked one of the most violent street confrontations in Israel among African asylum seekers and migrants in recent years. Saturday's clashes came on the 30th anniversary of the current Eritrean leader's rise to power, with anti-government protesters wearing blue shirts modeled on the country's 1952 flag, a symbol of opposition to the ruling dictatorship. Sunday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convened a special committee to discuss asylum seekers and migrants.
What happened yesterday crossed a red line. This is rioting. It is bloodshed. It is savageness that we cannot accept. We are seeking strong steps against the rioters, including the immediate expulsion of those who took part. It's hard for me to understand why we would have a problem with those who declare that they support the regime. They certainly cannot claim refugee status.
Netanyahu noted that Israel's Supreme Court earlier struck down some legislative measures designed to coerce the migrants to leave. For those who sought a life in Israel free from the dictatorship in Eritrea, the violence fosters uncertainty in an adopted homeland.
This event has left us shaken. We are ashamed and we're hurting. We're hurting, and we're also afraid and feel insecure in the country. We ran away from persecution in our country, and the dictator regime continues to persecute us, to silence us.
Eritreans account for the majority of the more than 30,000 African asylum seekers in Israel. Saturday's violent clashes came during what is now Israel's 35th consecutive week of mass protests following overhauls early in 2023 weakening the country's judiciary. Netanyahu's coalition of hard-right conservatives stripped the Supreme Court of oversight on his government. Israelis say the move is a step toward dictatorship, with some calling it a coup. Supporters of the legislation argue the judicial measures reinstate a balance of power in government branches. Critics say the measures do away with checks and balances. Arash Arabasadi, VOA News.
A California tech startup is using artificial intelligence to mask the accents of call centers workers to reduce discrimination, but some say diversity is being erased.
In the global economy, a call to a customer service center will likely be answered by someone in a faraway part of the world.
Just bear with me for a moment.
Call center workers can train for months to effectively communicate with customers whose native language and culture differ from theirs.
Okay, try that. Photographer. Photographer. Good.
Despite this training, accents often get in the way, says developer Sharath Narayana.
There are at least a few instances every single day of his life or her life that they go through some level of discrimination and sometimes straight up abuse.
Narayana is a co-founder of California-based Sanus AI, whose technology can adjust the way a speaker sounds, with the goal of making an accent more relatable. A call center worker from the Philippines demonstrated.
Hi, my name is Iggy. I'm from Parañaque. Hi, my name is Iggy. I'm from Parañaque.
The difference can be subtle, but Narayana says it is helping call center workers avoid abuse.
We are not trying to hide the fact that this person is from India or this person is from the Philippines. But this person would sound so clear, so confident, and so crisp that the other person would like to have a conversation.
Discrimination and abuse by callers are among the factors leading to high turnover among call center workers. Narayana himself once worked in such a center, and although he doesn't excuse the behavior of callers, he says he understands what's going on.
When they hear that accent, the first thing that I see is that lack of trust with this person. Hey, I've waited so long for my problem to solve. Now I'm connected to somebody that I can't relate to, or his voice that I cannot relate to. Can this person actually solve my problem?
Sociologist Anish says tools like Sanus can help reduce the burden on call center agents. Anish, however, worries that it also points to what he says are dehumanizing trends in technology, namely erasing diversity.
Most of our communication is mediated through some technology. But when technology starts changing your accent itself, that is transforming you into your own avatar. Now, the driving force is not developing an understanding between human beings, but the driving force is transactional in the sense that things have to get functionally done.
Narayana says that of the workers with the optional Sanus system installed, 97% of them are choosing to use it every day.
Because I was able to listen to one of my calls using Sanus, and wow.
It looks like English is my first language, where in fact it's not.
If there is a technology solution to it, where I don't have to change the way I sound, but the other person can understand me very, very clearly, why isn't it a beautiful thing?
For now, the AI seems to be helping people connect. Matt Dibble, VOA News, Palo Alto, California.
And this is all the information that we prepared for you today. But before I go, I want to share our inspirational phrase so you can use it to inspire something in your life. For today, it says, it doesn't matter how many people you meet in your life, you just need the real ones who accept you for who you are and help you to become who you should be. Who said that? Roy T. Bennett. And this is all the information that we prepared for you today, but as every day, whatever you do, have fun, take care. Also, if you have the chance, help someone. I am Ricardo Cunha, and I'll be happy to see you.